Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone out there, wherever you are? It's kind of interesting to wonder who's listening and where they are. Maybe you're driving a tractor on a farm, or driving home, or brushing your teeth, or who knows what. It's exciting. I really hope you guys are enjoying this podcast. It's meandering through so many different avenues of conversation. Obviously, it's mostly me and my sister and I, talking about whatever comes up at that moment, and it always seems to blossom into a hour and a half, 2 hour conversation, which is wild. But we've been getting these guests in, and it's kind of interesting how these kind of veins are, it's just interesting how the same subjects seem to come to the surface. I guess it's my projection of what I've been through, and those may be the way that the questions that get projected out. But I'm finding it interesting because I really don't know where this ship is heading. The wind seems to be blowing into the sail, and it's pushing us in a northeasterly way or something like that. It's blowing us in a certain direction, and I really don't have my hands on the rudder. I'm just, Abigail too. We're just kind of like, this is fun. Let's see where it goes. So I hope you find comfort in these conversations, maybe, or maybe they raise up some questions or whatever it might be. I guess my hope is that a community is built out of this little endeavor that Abigail and I are trying to do. So if you are enjoying the podcast, I keep saying this now, please subscribe, please follow, do whatever that clicky thing is that makes you part of our community. Because right now it's there's lots of listeners, but not many followers. I think we have one. So please do that. Share it with your friends if you like it. Hey, this is a cool podcast. You might enjoy it. That would really help us bump us down the stream. My guest today, and it is my guest, Abigail's not joining us, is a man. I mean, he's not a boy, he's a man. He's 40-something. But I remember him as a boy. Wes Johnson. I used to call him Johnny Boy. Johnny Boy and I are not the type of characters that would normally have the same orbit. We kind of were orbiting like this, but we were forced together over a situation, and I needed him, he needed me, I guess. And we had some wild adventures driving across Canada. Most of our adventures are around driving with no budget, no money. And it seems to me that most adventures come when you don't have a lot of money, but you have a big mission or a vision. That's where the adventure starts. So yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I don't know who this will hit. It maybe just is an amusing story that you can listen to about some very personal stories of these adventures that we went on. We thought it'd be fun just to kind of re-dig it up and get it down on paper, as it were. So I didn't do much editing. I just let the thing roll. We do again have some technical issues on his end. He was tethering his phone, and so we lost the visual of the handsome Wes, and it comes back at the end. So cool. Hope you enjoy, guys. Here we go. Let's go. Johnny Boy. That's what I used to call you, right?
Yeah, I think so. Which is, I was like thinking about, it's like, do I know Joby's middle name? And for some reason, I always think it's Joby John Mallet.
It is.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
How did I know that?
I don't know, because you don't always say, Joby John Mallet, I've got a question for you. Hey, Joby John Mallet, what time are we leaving? Joby John Mallet. Can you imagine?
What time are we hitting the road, man?
Can you imagine if you said everyone's full name all the time? And anything less than that is impolite.
Do you remember John Anthony? He was like a
long-haired,
tall guy, overweight, geeky, super long hair. Yeah, we used to call him, we used to always refer to him as John Anthony. So that's about as close as we ever got, I guess.
Yeah. Usually if you say someone's first and last name, you're mad at them. Like
if you're a parent, name, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Gabriel Mallet. Ooh, I'm in trouble. Thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for making the time.
Yeah, for sure. It's my first podcast. This is going to be interesting. So,
yeah, I mean, it's just a conversation. I think to fill people in, I got to know you in Kamloops. How long ago was that? Oh, Jimi Hendrix is behind you. I love it.
Yeah. I would have been 23, probably. 48 now.
Jeez, man. That's crazy. I'm 52. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a while back. So what is it, 25 years?
Damn it. That's insane. Yeah. We met at that little mellow church that we used to go to.
Mellow, yeah. Chilling out on the couches in the sanctuary.
But I think we got to know each other I was trying to remember this morning how, like, I guess just the 3,500 feet view. What do you call it? 5,000 foot view is that Wes and I have traveled across America, Canada. We've done a lot of miles together, right?
Oh yeah.
Driving
Oh yeah.
like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles, and we've
We are
had some
roadworthy.
adventures. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we've had some adventures. So I think what we're going to try and do is recount those adventures because some of them are, I think they'll be funny to talk about. Because usually we're on like no money, no budget, and both have that kind of like sense of like, let's do it.
Yeah. And I think
Even though,
it's that no money thing that I don't know, it just it allows for chaos to ensue when you're trying to do things on the cheap.
yeah,
Like, because as I've gotten older, you have money, you're doing everything the proper way. Nothing goes wrong anymore. And you're like, life seems really boring now.
yeah, I totally agree. Like because this podcast has kind of allowed me to uproot some of my past, right? And
Hmm.
sometimes you just let that stuff die with you almost, and it's sad. And most of my adventure has come from doing things with very little knowledge about what the heck we're going into. But yeah, no money.
Yeah.
And not that I'd want no money again, but I don't think we would have had our adventures if we were driving brand new vehicles and all of that stuff.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think where I remember you and me spending more time together was when I needed a bass player. So I was approached by this woman called Dorothy, who worked in Calgary, and uh, she wanted to send teams across Canada to do, I don't know if relief work is. It's like motivation for the youth kind of
Yeah.
programs. And she got funding for it. So that was her job to get funding. And then she's like, I need someone who's going to go across Canada in this van, and you're going to do like music and drama and games with these kids. And then you're going to pack up the van and move to the next one. And so it was me and my then wife, Jen, who was half First Nations. I don't know what the politically correct word is now for that.
That's fine to me.
Yeah. And I had to throw together a band, and I was a very mediocre musician. And I was like, hey, Wes, you want to play? And you're like, sure. I mean, you were just like,
I'm up for anything.
yeah, I was kind of surprised. And I think before then, we hadn't really spent much time together.
No, I feel like our first practice was like the first time we ever really hung out one on one
Yeah.
and
Yeah, our
really
orbits
talked or
didn't
did
really,
much of anything together.
yeah, our
Yeah.
orbits really didn't collide until then.
Yeah.
And then we sat down, well, I sat down and thought, what are the simplest pop songs in the charts that I can play, because I was a pretty shitty musician. And what did we play? We played like Radiohead, like the simplest Radiohead song there is. We played Our Lady Peace, Foo Fighters,
Yeah.
and I think we skipped out
REM.
all the difficult REM. This one goes out
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the fire. You used to sing that.
What was the one where I used to do yeah to? What's the name of that
Yeah.
band?
Oh, that was
Yeah.
some soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, soul. No,
I should know the name of the band. They're a
yeah.
Canadian band. Apparently he recorded that with a
Heaven, let your light shine down.
yeah, totally. He recorded that
Whoa,
through a toilet paper roll. He went
really?
up to the mic and just spoke it. Yeah,
Wow.
in his basement.
No way. Back in the good old days, we had to figure
Yeah,
out your own special effects. What
totally.
the heck? It was called Soul something. I went and saw them live.
I thought it started with a C.
Yeah. Anyway, I remember skipping out the difficult parts in the songs. Just like, yeah, we'll cut that part out. No one will notice. And it was like rustling together instruments and finding a drum. Like, who was the first drummer? Was it
He was
my
from
buddy?
Calgary.
No, he was from Toronto.
No, that was like our second trip. You talking about Greg?
Yeah, Greg.
So our first trip was with a guy who was married. He used to smoke all the time.
Oh,
He was like a South Asian guy. He used to
yeah.
do this thing where he'd tell us that he had smoke in his lungs. So he'd do this thing where he'd pressurize his lungs and go, and then like condensation would come out of his mouth. And we're like, what? You just have cigarette smoke trapped in your lungs?
He was like the first vapor man. He figured out vaping in his own. He like filtered it out and it came out smelling like honey. Yeah, he was friends with Jewel and Jean, and I can't remember his name. Yeah, he was a good drummer though. He
Yeah,
was the best of all of us, I think.
probably. He had
And
to
then
be because we were only one practice, maybe two practices deep by the time we started performing.
yeah, we
I
just
think we
hit the
did
road.
one practice at the church, and then we
That is
showed up
crazy.
at Dorothy's place, and I remember it was like 1 in the morning or something, and we're practicing, and all of a sudden the radio starts coming through your amp and like
Oh yeah,
all
we
these
thought it was
weird
piss.
noises, and we're like, "What's going on?" We're like super
Aliens are
sleep
coming.
deprived. Yeah, there's demons everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was very little practice, and then Dorothy gave us this itinerary, and I think it was just a three-piece band, right? So,
Yeah.
and if you're not a really good musician, it's hard to make a three-piece sound decent. Those
Well,
poor people.
especially if you're not doing lead on guitar, because you were
Yeah.
probably doing more rhythm at the time.
Oh yeah, I'm still
So you're
doing rhythm.
missing that lead side. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we made it
Um,
work.
we made it work. And then Dorothy gave us this crazy itinerary. And I think we had the Astro van, or did we have
Yeah.
that old Chevy van?
Yeah, it was kind of like a bluey green Astrovan,
Yeah.
packed
So
to the
not a,
gills.
yeah, so we had to have a full band. So an Astro van is a one, two, three, four, or about seven-seater, right? So we took the back seater out. We had to fit drum kit, bass amp, guitars, all of our luggage, and then all the stuff for dramas. So then we had to write skits. So not only did we have to rehearse songs, we then had to learn skits.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Driving down the road, Jen was in charge of all that.
Yeah. And it was like it was fun, man. We
Yeah.
were just like, okay, you be the father. Remember? Because we used to do that because there's a lot of trauma in a lot of these places, and so we would touch on issues like alcoholism and maybe peer pressure, which sounded like beer pressure because I was doing it through a puppet. Peer
Yeah.
pressure. And then we were doing like dysfunctional families, and I think you played the mom because there was a daughter who one of the skits was a daughter who wasn't.
What?
Yeah, a daughter who. Oh yeah, it was teenage pregnancy. So the daughter didn't tell her parents that she was pregnant, and then so we didn't. We only had one female or two, and they were taken care of. So Wes had to be mom. So he put this blonde wig on and came out. I don't know if you wore a dress or something. You came out and he's like, "Mom, I'm pregnant." And Wes Johnson came out. What? And oh man, I must have peed my pants. I mean, it was so funny. I'm so glad we did that, man. I mean, we used to. So we would drive. So this itinerary was so tight that she would make us like Canada is a huge province, and she would make us drive to these reservations that were in the middle of nowhere. And this was pre Google Maps, pre GPS, just a map book, and barely any gas stations out there. And we have to make like the school assembly in the morning, right? So it was like there's no wiggle room for. Sometimes it was like a school assembly, we do like 3 shows in one venue, but other times it was like one show, pack up the van, and then try and make it to the next one.
And it would be
And
a 10-hour drive
yeah,
to
a
the
10-hour
next
drive
show.
through dirt roads and crazy. And we would be pinning it.
Yeah.
And then we had no tech guys, so we would have to do the sound, the setup, the drama, the games. I mean, it was, once you hit the reservation, it was like game on. Like we were hustling.
Full of panic.
Full of panic. Yeah. I remember when we had 3 shows in one reservation, it was like, oh, we can actually chill out for a bit and hang out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I always remember you after Johnny Boy takes his shirt off and plays guitar in the parking lot, and all the girls would just be hovering around you like bees to honey.
Definitely had to fend off some. Yeah, these girls would just like fall in love with me. I think we actually started wearing a ring at one point to try to make them think I was married. So like all these like girls would want to like be my girlfriend. I was just like, what on earth is happening?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but
you
yeah, I
were. I
probably
mean,
didn't. I didn't help the situation because I'd be unloading gear and getting hot, and I'd just be like, oh, pull my shirt off. Still don't look too bad. Still got the
no, you
pipes.
look. You
I
still. You
I
you
got
you
some
drink.
abs.
You drink from the fountain of youth. Yeah,
Do
I
my
mean those.
best.
Some of those communities just didn't have visitors, right? So it was like it was interesting how they just absolutely anything we would do, they would just love it.
Yeah.
And because just people just didn't notice them much or take much interest in them. Like, do you remember some of the games we would play? Like, was it Chubby Bunny with the marshmallows?
Marshmallows. Yeah, which is now banned.
Is it because people have died?
I heard, yeah, people choking or something like that. It was
Yeah,
hilarious at the time, though.
we would hold a garbage bag under them, and some of them would just puke because they
So
put like
gross.
some of those guys who could really eat bannock. Some of the older guys, man, they could pack in 20. Their cheeks were like
Yeah,
out here.
the Dizzy Gillespies.
Yeah, yeah,
Big
but
massive. I never got to do it because I don't eat sugar. So I never actually
oh yeah, Wes is
partook
hypo.
in
What a pain in
in
the ass that was. Hypoglycemic.
I know everyone trying to feed me on the road. What a nightmare. We always had to pick restaurants where I could eat, and then we'd show up at a place and they're feeding us sugar stuff, and I'd like have to eat
Yeah,
the most basic of be surviving on like salad. And
and you're like a human dumpster. You would eat like you'd every time. So
you
we'd
gonna
sit
finish
down.
that?
Yeah, yeah. You sit down at a table, and then Wes is finish his plate, and then just looks over. You done with that? It's like having a dog sitting at the table waiting for the scraps.
Give you a little bit of time too, just to wait and see. He looks like he's slowing down. He hasn't touched a fry in at least a minute. And then I'd
Yeah.
be like, hey,
Now's my chance.
you gonna eat those fries?
Yeah. And then do you remember on the Astrovan, because we would sometimes do like really long stints, so we created a so there was like me, Jen, who was my wife then, Jen's friend, can't remember her name.
Oh, I had her name in my head this morning. I was just thinking about her.
Yeah.
Um,
There's definitely some fireworks around that relationship.
yeah, me and her didn't get along super great either. There was some
Yeah.
tension there.
And then there'd be you. There was a there was another person sometimes, because I always remember you sitting on like one cheek on the bench seat sometimes because there was no room. I remember there being three in the back seat sometimes.
Well, yeah, because it would have been you,
Oh, the
Jen,
drummer.
and then the drummer, me, and that other girl.
Yeah, so it was
Yeah,
it was a two-seater bench seat with three people on it, and all the gear was crammed to the wall. And then we thought, why don't we create a bed behind that first bench seat
that
so
was the
that you can lay
best.
on? Yeah, so we literally created about 16 inches between the bench seat and the gear, and you would
Yeah,
have
there's
to,
just
yeah,
enough to crawl in there.
yeah, you crawl in and you had to sleep on your side, right? You couldn't sleep on your back. And
Yeah.
I remember slamming on the brakes, and you were sleeping back there, and all the gear came out and crushed you. It was like this, hey, really just slam forward
Yeah,
and crushed you in your sleep.
lived
And
though.
I think every so often we were like, let's dip into the fund and get a hotel so we can like have a decent night's sleep.
Well, it's not like we were Didn't we have hotels every night? Or are you talking like a nicer hotel?
Maybe it was a nicer hotel, because I
Some,
remember like picking the restaurant was like this thing. We'd
yeah,
drive around and we all had to agree on a restaurant. And I remember we were on the road for so long, sometimes all we wanted was a home cooked meal. It was like even the healthy meals felt greasy.
yeah. I remember we at the end of our first tour, we were back in Calgary, and we all went out for Greek food for the first. Well, it was my first time doing Greek food, and I
Okay.
was like, "Are you guys sure I can eat Greek food?" And you're like, "Oh, you're gonna love it, man. It's amazing." And we go there and get the food, and I start eating the roast potatoes, and I almost fell off my chair. They were so delicious. Just ruined me for the rest of my life. I'm like a massive Greek food fan now. We all got like
Yeah.
extra potatoes, and yeah, it was so good. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was that was one of the times I guess I wasn't a pain in the butt to. I kind of risked it because up until
Yeah.
then it was always like I don't think I can eat there.
Yeah, you can have tomato sauce, right?
Yeah,
And then I remember sometimes we would be in a hotel. It would be me, Jen, you, and Greg. And I think one time, sometimes you just get sick of being with each other. Greg was farting or something. I remember Jen getting right ticked off. She's like, I'm done. I can't handle this. Well, she got pregnant
was that
on
on
the
the
road.
second tour?
Yeah, how many tours did we do? Three, two or three, right? Maybe more.
Well, we did a bunch in BC, but that was without Jen.
Mhm.
And then, but I know we definitely did at least two.
All the way to Toronto.
Yeah,
Those were insane.
and she got pregnant like out east and flew back, and then you and me finished the tour together on the way back.
Oh, yeah, and we had to do all the things
Yeah,
because we had to change outfits. Just you? Was it just you and me?
I think so. Yeah,
And a drummer,
there was
maybe. It must have been Greg.
yeah, maybe. But we dropped him off in Toronto, and I think there was, unless we just drove back, I can't remember.
Yeah, that is a long way.
Yeah.
Through.
Like, I remember us getting on Jen's nerves. Yeah, all the gas, and we'd be walking around in our boxer shorts in the hotels and stuff like that, just like flopping around. And she's like, I can see your penis.
I remember we were rehearsing in a gymnasium because we wanted to learn some new songs, and Jen and what's her name were in another room hanging out, and then on the they found, because they locked the school up and let us like sleep on the gym mats.
Yeah,
And as we
I
were
remember that
between
place.
songs, Jen found the intercom for the school and said, "Paging Joby, we're having a baby." Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like this community kind of like, well, I remember staring at each other like, we go, what? And then she bought that book, the pregnancy book.
Oh,
And
okay.
so, because this was pre-cell phone, so we would drive for hours and hours and hours just on all we could do. We would listen to the same CDs. I remember we had Matchbox 20, probably Big Shiny Tunes CDs or something.
Hmm.
And you started reading the pregnancy book. We started passing the book around the van. And I remember you being absolutely disgusted at some of the pregnancy malarkey. We would
Really?
like read it out. Yeah, you would read it out loud and then it would pass over to Jen. And it was like this, well, what else are you going to do on the road, right? And
Yeah.
we were having a baby. So we were all kind of like curious about what was going to happen. This book was just telling the story about, and I remember you being like, it's disgusting. I can't handle it. And then Jen got really bad morning sickness. So every so often it would be like, pull over the van. And she would like
Yeah.
run down the ditch and puke. And yeah. But I don't think any of those trips we had van issues, or
We
do you
did.
remember?
Well, we had a tire blowout one night. So it might have been like the second night in, because I remember we left Dorothy's. We went to our first show, and the drummer was driving because he kind of knew the area. And I don't know why, but we decided to take like side streets the whole way. And just so we're screaming down back roads. And I remember thinking, wouldn't it be just faster to take the main highway? But I think he wanted to speed. So he was like, if we take the side roads, we won't run into any cops. So we're doing like a buck 40, buck 60 down these side roads.
Gravel
And we
roads.
probably damaged it was the back left tire at one point. So it was probably, we did our first or second show or something. And then I was sleeping in the back. And I remember kind of waking up and being like, I can feel like a vibration, and mentioning something to you. And you did the most of the driving. I did some too. We all kind of traded off and on. And you're like, you'd been driving for a while. And so I think started becoming accustomed to whether or not there was a vibration there. And so we're cruising, and I was like, dude, can you feel like a shaking or
Well,
something? And you're like,
you're
no, I don't.
sleeping right over the back axle, so
Yeah,
you're
exactly. And you're like, no, it's totally fine. So we just keep driving. Like hours are going by. It's like getting dark now. I think I can't remember if I was driving at this point, but I remember driving being like, are you guys sure you can't feel a vibration? You're like, nope, everything feels fine. Nobody's noticing anything. And I'm questioning it, but it like the vibration, it's kind of like getting boiled like a frog. The vibration had gotten so bad, nobody was aware of it because
yeah.
it had happened so slowly all over time. And I'm pretty sure I was driving. And I just remember we're cruising down the highway, probably doing like a buck 10, buck 20. And all of a sudden we just hear a loud explosion. And then the van starts driving super sketchy and drag it off to the side of the road. And we'd blown out the inside of the sidewall on the tire. So we had to like all our gear out, pull the spare out, because it's all the spares underneath all of our stuff,
Oh, no.
swap the tire in, and then the next morning go and find a shop to swap in a brand new tire, which we had to pay. I think we had to pay out of our own pocket or something. It wasn't covered under the rental for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was like probably our biggest mishap on that first trip, where things went a little bit
And you took the
crazy.
visor apart one time.
I sort of
I
remember
remember
that.
I remember driving for hours, right? Like just hours. Man, I miss the days of no cell phones. Like people just be
Yeah.
talking or just gazing out the window, and I'd be like, "What are you thinking about,
Pretending
Wes?"
to ride a dirt bike.
And he's like, "I'm pretending to ride a dirt bike up and down all of the side." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah, I've been doing. That's what I do." Hour in it. He's living it.
Yeah. I
Still
do
do it,
that
don't you?
forever. I don't know. It's been a while since I've sat in a
I've been a
passenger seat.
passenger.
Yeah. You can't do that while you're
And I remember
driving a
when you
car.
would drive, when it was your turn to drive, because I always did the lion's share of driving, even when we were touring as a band and when I was taking students across Canada, I would just always do these huge driving stints. But I remember when you drove, it was like both hands on the steering wheel. And I'm like, oh, you were always racing. It
Oh,
was like,
really?
it wasn't just like you were never like one hand just cruising. It was like come up behind someone and it's like, how am I going to get past this person? And then it was drop it down. And the engine is screaming. And I'd always be on edge. I'm like, oh, because it was always a race. For you, it was like, yeah, we're in a race.
I'm probably still like that.
Yeah. Thank God
That's
we didn't
awesome.
have phones because we probably would have had accidents. Like, people would have been
Yeah.
texting and driving and God knows what. Yeah.
I don't know how we found our way around everywhere. Because
Yeah,
if we had
like
to
in
go
the
back to that now, we would have gotten lost all the time.
yeah, you could not lose your place in the map, right? Because you would
Yeah.
just be screwed. Do you remember when we saw that white moose in Ontario?
Wait, no, not at all.
Yeah, you were with me for sure. We were driving back from Ontario and we saw a white albino moose on the side of the road. And it was like freakish.
No.
It was very rare. I
Is
think
this up
that's a
where
thing.
near Jen lived or when she grew
No, it
up?
was no, it was further down somewhere. I can't remember exactly where. I can see the piece of road we were on. And I remember on the side of the road was this white moose. It's crazy. Yeah.
That's a moment I should remember.
But you don't remember taking the visor apart?
I have a vague memory of it. Was it because the
Oh, I
material
think
was
we were
pulling
just
out of it and I wanted to stick it, like put the material
no,
back in or
you were
something?
driving. You were driving, and the sun was coming in, and it annoyed you for some reason. So you just yanked it off the pole. For some reason, you just pulled it off the pole, and I'm like, and then you realized, oh, this is not going to go back on. It's not meant to do that. And then we were
Yeah,
crossing a ferry from like Manitoulin Island,
yeah.
and you had to spend the entire time on the ferry with your pocket knife trying to push all the fabric in and rebuild the whole thing.
I remember that part for sure.
Yeah,
Man. Yeah,
but
that doesn't
yeah,
surprise me at all. It's probably like
yeah.
brand new when I'm finished with it though.
I wonder whether people are still doing stuff like that on some of those reservation communities. Because yeah, it was chaos, man. I remember us being
Yeah.
backstage, just like figuring out the list of things we were going to do. Jen and I would always get in fights over it. No, I think we should do Chubby Bunny first, and then do a song, and then do this. No, we do it this way, and the power struggles.
Yeah.
I'm glad we did it though. It was fun.
I remember
Some
you
good
used to
memories.
do Banana Man all the time. And you had this like voice you would do. So it was
Oh, it
Banana
hurt
Man.
my
And then
throat.
yeah, and you guys tried to get me to do Banana Man one time. And I
Didn't work.
tried to do it like you, and I was like, this isn't working for me. So the next time you guys said, try it again, see if you can make it work. It's just totally embarrassing because you're like on the spot winging it in front of this like crowd of kids.
Yeah.
And so I think I ended up going with like an Eddie Murphy kind of
Hey
like
man,
thing. Yo, man, I'm the Banana Man, man.
you get
It's just
canceled now for doing
ridiculous.
that.
Yeah, I know, totally.
You'd have been in so
Yeah.
much trouble. What even was Banana Man? Like, what did he do? I remember
I think it was
peeling.
addiction
He's addicted to bananas.
because he would have one banana and then like some guy showed up and knocked on the door and dropped off a basket of bananas and then he just ate all the bananas. And then somebody else, another knock on the door and he goes and looks and gets a bigger box of bananas and eats
Oh
all
yeah.
those bananas and then he gets sick and then we turn that into the moral of the story is addiction. So
Honestly, if I
weak.
was a kid watching that, I'd be like, "This is so lame." I remember puking. I remember pretending to puke all over the kids. But I wonder now whether those things they were because then I keep saying pre-cell phone, but I wonder if the stimulation that these children have now by watching like the crazy stuff that's online. I wonder if those skits just wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work at
Because
all.
you'd have to have special effects and smoke machines and
Yeah.
like their sensory kind of levels would be so up here that they would just probably laugh us off stage.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because they loved us. It seemed like they were actually super into what we were doing.
Yeah,
And then we'd have a dance party at the end of the night. Can't remember if we did that the first time around or if we introduced that like later on, but that was always fun.
with music and jumping around. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think we actually started almost doing like a DJ thing at some point. I'd get out
Oh
there and
yeah.
cut a rug and dance in front of everybody and try to get a crowd going and
Get your Michael Jackson on.
yeah, do a bunch of my smooth moves.
So okay, so that was that. What was our first incident with a vehicle? I mean that whole touring was chaotic and fun. And I remember talking to like getting to really appreciate you because I had like when I left England, I was really into cars and tinkering around with vehicles with my friends. And then I'd never really met anyone who was into vehicles. So it just was like a part of me I just kind of closed off or just mechanical things, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember like feeling connected, like really enjoying my spending time with you because we would talk about just those kinds of things, like cars
Yeah.
and
Whereas at the
how to
church,
kind
it
of
was all
overcome
spiritual all the time.
yeah, it was all spiritual. And I just never met anyone who was even remotely interested in anything,
Yeah.
you know, fixing things. Like I love to fix things and you like fixing things and we kind of connected on that level. But I remember think, correct me if I'm wrong, the first shitty thing that happened, apart from the tire blowing when we were driving, was I had this Lada Niva, which Nolan gave to me, which is like a Lada or like a Russian brand of car
Yeah, it's
that
like a mini
sucked.
SUV.
Yeah, really, really short. Knee had like the smallest four-cylinder motor, and I remember you driving it. So
Revving the crap out of it.
oh my God. Like the road from Kamloops to Calgary is like mountain range. Like if you've never driven it, it's insane. It's a mountain range, right? Like you're going right to the top of the mountain and then all the way to the bottom of the mountain, then right to the top,
Yeah,
windy roads. And this poor little car, you would get behind the seat, and because it was stick shift, you were in your element,
gotta rev
and
that thing up.
you would rev that thing like and then change gear.
Slam shift. Bam!
And then if the revs dropped below 3,000 RPM, you were like back down to third. So I'm like, oh, this sounds okay. The engine's not screaming for help. Back down to third. Wow, wow. And then the and all I could do was think about this poor little engine screaming for mercy. And you're like, it likes it. These engines love it.
It's good for it. It's cleaning out all the carbon.
Yeah, and it was like a race. And I remember being so, I
I'd
just
do it again.
internalized it, but I was stressing me out. I was like, this engine is going to blow out of the hood. And this thing was not made to go fast at all, but you made it go to its limit.
Oh yeah, totally.
Talk
Well,
about blowing out the cobwebs.
I was used to driving Hondas, so like you could drive them like that all the time. But the Ladas, I don't know. I guess I didn't really have a understanding that this was your car, and if something went wrong with it, was probably going to cost you some money. I just kind of was like, it'll be fine. They're designed to run like this,
Yeah.
so I just treated it like a Honda, and it was fine.
So why did we go? I think we were going to Calgary literally to pick up the sound system and all the gear to come back to Kamloops. And then we were going to rent a vehicle from Kamloops or something.
No, I think that was the trip where Jen got pregnant. So we
Okay.
drove to Calgary and then we all got in the van, kind of grouped, got our rental stuff, put it all in the van, headed
Mm,
east. And then Jen had gotten pregnant and she
couldn't
flew
do it.
back and we had like another week to go or something. So we did the rest of the tour all the way back to Calgary to finish up. There was probably a bunch of
Yeah.
driving because most of our stuff was in Ontario. So when we got back to Calgary, you were dead set on getting back to Kamloops like as soon as you possibly could. You were just like, I just need to get back to see Jen.
Yeah,
So,
we had
and
been on the road for like a month, it felt like.
yeah, and it was like, I remember it being like 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna hit the road and head back to Kamloops. I'm like, dude, it's night. Like, let's get a good night's sleep and go in the morning. And you're like, no, we're gonna drive through the night. Like, okay, you're the boss.
Oh, you cut
So,
out for a bit there.
oh, really? Yeah. So
Oh, it's okay. It'll work out on.
yeah. So yeah, I was like, okay, I guess we're going to Kamloops tonight. So I don't think we even left Calgary until like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night.
So it's on a good day, Calgary to Kamloops is how many hours is that?
I'm gonna say 8, maybe 6.
On a good day.
It's
No
been
way.
yeah,
That wasn't the smartest decision then, because I remember the sun going down as we were leaving Calgary. We were driving into the sunset.
totally. Probably not even with a full tank of gas.
And it is pretty crazy. Yeah, sorry, the signal's getting a bit squirrely here, but it'll figure itself out. Yeah, if you haven't driven that drive, you're kind of coming out of like flat planed Calgary where it's all flat and you literally like the mountains are in the distance. It's kind of like driving into a perfect storm on a sailboat, where you see the gray clouds and you're in blue sky and you're heading into the Rocky Mountains and
Yeah.
it's like you can see it in the distance and then before you know it, you're in the heart of like the most craziest mountain ranges. And then the gas stations were shut down early there, right? Like they were 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, shut the doors.
Yeah, which is something you never seem to consider when we did like late night driving. There was never a, well, yeah, maybe the gas stations won't be open, which is
Didn't think
basically
that
how
far.
this, I think it was a common theme for you, Joby.
Do you remember? Would I do that? Like, yeah, oh yeah, the Todd. I remember when we were touring with Whitfield, my band, and I had
Yeah.
this reputation of like, for some reason in my head, when there's a mission, like, and I still struggle with this with even working on my farm and stuff. I am so geared towards the destination that the journey part is just a bit of a pain. And
Yeah.
so I would like the gas gauge would be on like, and I still do it to this day. Like we drive to Tara's dad lives in Nelson, and we'll drive back. And in my head, I'm like, it's like it's competition. I think I can make it to the next town, and it
Yeah.
always ends up with a white knuckling sweating bullets, worried. I do it to myself, but I'd always be like, I think we can make it. And then often it would end up in disaster
Quarter
because,
tank of gas station, and you just drive by. We'll make it to the next town. Every time. Are you sure you don't want to get gas there, man? No, we're fine. We're good. We got like basically it's almost a quarter tank. We're good. We're good.
and it's like 10 o'clock at night in the middle of the Rockies.
Yeah. So now it's like we can make it to the next town. Plus, nobody's open anymore because it's super late at night. Yeah.
So I think we made it. So we were chugging through the Rockies, and the Rockies burn gas because you're hauling up these crazy hills. And there was one, I remember the gas station because the snow, they have these avalanche places, right, where they have these bridges where the snow can kind of go over the road.
Yeah.
And I remember pulling into this gas station and we're on E. It was like Golden. I think it was Golden. And
No, we ended
somewhere
up
like
getting
that.
actual gas in Golden. There was a gas station before that.
Right. And
I'll
we
see if
woke
you
the
can
guy.
remember
Remember
though.
I can't remember the town. I don't think it was a town. It was just a gas
It
station on the
was a
side of the road.
tiny little like villa. Yeah.
Right.
You
And
had
so we woke the
managed.
guy up.
Yeah, I'll let you tell it. Go for it.
There you go.
Okay,
I
so
always
what
talk.
my recollection is us we'd kind of done the classic, hey, there's a gas station. We'll make it to the next town. We gets to the next town and we're on, like you're saying, we're on empty and the entire town is shut down. And it's like another 45 minutes to Golden. So we're like, we're definitely not gonna make it. It's now, I think it was probably like 12:30 at night or something. So like nothing's open and there's no
Yeah.
chance. So somehow we're pulled in at the gas station. Somehow we managed to meet a local guy who knew the guy who owned the gas station. They called him up, but he comes down, like opens the gas station for us, fires it up, and then you proceed to put in $6 of gas. Like he didn't even fill it up.
No,
You
but
put
it
in
was
like,
cash only.
oh, was
It
it?
was,
Yeah,
yeah, it was
you
cash
barely
because there
bought
was
any gas. You bought like 6 liters. You're like, this will get us to Golden. The guy was so
no,
choked
no.
'cause
I remember because there was no internet and there was no way of using a Visa card.
oh, okay.
So we went through. I remember we went through everything and emptied our pockets, and we had $6 in cash.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember leaving and you'd be like, that guy seemed choked because I only put in like $6 in gas. And being like, what? That's all you put in? I remember being shocked that you'd only put in. I was like, I thought you'd fill it up. But
Yeah, the
yeah. So
guy
then,
woke up, came down, flicked all the lights on, fired up all the pumps, and we just went.
yeah, I
That was
think
it.
I'm remembering another part to that story though. So before we got to that gas station, we were getting really low on gas. So this is like just before that. We pulled into this little kind of village area and just started walking around to see if we could find jerry cans or something lying around or seeing if somebody had some
No,
gas we could get. We
so that
might
was
even have,
after that. That was Invermere.
was it?
So the $6 got us to Invermere, which is like this little gorgeous little town right at the bottom of a valley. Remember, there's that big lake around it, and
Okay.
we pulled into the visitor parking lot on the outskirts of the town, and the town was asleep. Like everything, everyone was in their house, and so we found a jerry can. I think maybe we. I don't know how we got a jerry can. We got a jerry can, and everyone that pulled off the highway to go into Invermere, we would run after them. You would sprint up the street and I
Freaking
think
them out.
maybe this is pre jerry can and asked them if they had gas, and then one of them gave us a jerry can that was empty. And I think we ran around, and then that's where I said to you, I think, what about if we pee in the jerry can and it turned and we asked God to turn it into gasoline again? And we just didn't do it.
Yeah, I remember you peeing in the bushes and doing like, dude, don't waste your pee. We might have to use that for fuel.
Yeah, and I remember it is pretty stressful because we were in the middle of nowhere and darkness is coming thick, you know.
Yeah.
And we would run around and these people were freaked out because there's this freak chasing their car up the street. And then they get out of their car all kind of like edgy. They're like,
Yeah.
hey, we ran out of fuel. I don't think we got any fuel there.
No, we didn't. We got nothing.
So we're on fumes.
That's
And we
why I
have to,
thought it was before the first gas station, but I could be wrong. So,
yeah, I don't know which way around it was.
yeah.
And then we were on fumes and we had to make it to Golden where there was a truck stop, which was for sure open.
Yeah.
And it's a miracle we made it there.
Yeah, I think that was probably the last gas station because, yeah, it was a truck stop. So it was open 24/7. But that was the last gas station that we had to hit before we made it to Kamloops.
Right.
And
But do
then
you remember we didn't make it to
we
Kamloops?
didn't. Yeah. We were, yeah, I
So we
remember
had
waking
another.
you up. I woke you up at like, it was 6 in the morning. We're driving
Yeah, the
through
light, sun was
Chase.
coming up.
Yeah.
Chase, yeah.
And I was like, Joby, we're really low on gas. I don't think we're gonna make it. We'll be fine. You just like go back to sleep. Yeah. And then yeah, we just
Chase
kept
gas station
cruising
was
and it was
closed.
like probably 10, 15 minutes from your house because you were living in that trailer home area in your bus on the far like on the far what is that? On the far south end
Outskirts.
of Kamloops. And yeah, we ran out at like 6:30 in the morning or something and then had to I can't honestly after that, I don't remember how I got home. I vaguely remember
Yeah, we
getting home and
called.
trying to go to bed, but
Yeah,
yeah. Did
yeah.
we
It was like
hitchhike?
6:30 in the morning, and we called somebody, and they brought us fuel.
Oh, okay.
But whoa, man, what a trip! Yeah, that was crazy. Did you ever drive those vehicles? Remember when we would drive the vehicles down to the States?
Yeah, the chase vehicles and the delivery, yeah, all the time down to Ashland, Oregon. I did that a
Yeah,
bunch.
that was insane. So what would
Me and
happen is
Kevin
that
O'Bester.
yeah, I did some drives with you, I think.
Oh yeah.
Me and Jamie Meckham would do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would dealerships, I guess they had that quota of vehicles they were allowed, so they would buy this guy would buy old trucks from the oil field, clean them up, and then auctions and then sell them to these Ford and Chevy dealerships down in the States. So we were paid to drive these things to the dealerships. And I think we would all no, there was no money for staying over the night. So it was like it was so dangerous because I remember it was like 48 hours of straight driving.
Ashland would be 24 there and
Like I
back.
remember, so 24, and we never
Yeah.
slept. And I remember
No,
often
no.
falling asleep. What?
You were falling asleep at the wheel?
I remember often going like this
And
and like peeing in a bottle because you were following someone who had directions because we didn't have GPS. So if you lost that person in front,
yeah.
you were screwed. So you had to stay on their tail, and we were in brand like really nice vehicles. And I remember like head out the window, splashing water on my face, doing anything I could to stay awake. So sketchy, and often like kind of like you know how you kind of nod off but don't remember the last 10 minutes of driving.
Yeah. You're just an autopilot.
Yeah, I remember that often. And
Yeah.
then we would
You'd get a bit of a break because it was 12 hours to Ashland, and then you would all drive back in one car on the way back. So
yes, you'd
if you
share
got
driving.
lucky, you'd maybe get like 2 hours of sleep on the drive back, but everybody's just wasted. And you're
Yeah, and
taking
you're
a
in
nap
like
in the
a
back in faith that the other guy isn't going to fall asleep and kill you or hit a deer or something stupid. Yeah.
and we were
Cramped
usually in
into a
like a
little Jetta.
yeah, little Volkswagen Jetta.
Yeah.
We broke down on the way back from Ashland, and it was Kevin's wife, then wife, Kevin's wife, and it was on an overpass, and it was me and Jamie McMecken, and he was making us listen to like Johnny Cash and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was a hot summer day, and we got out of the car, it broke down, and there was a dead cow or something in the ditch. And it was so like I think Kevin's wife puked. It was unbelievable gag, like because it was like 40 degrees. So this thing was really smelling. And
Rotting
we couldn't
carcass.
move.
Yeah.
We had to stay with the car. It was like unbelievable. Did you ever do winter drives?
Oh, yeah.
They were
Totally.
crazy. Like Coca-Cola. I remember we did it with one with Dan Sabel, and he was driving, and I didn't like his driving at all. And we were driving like this old Ford Taurus, 6 of us in the back driving back, and the Coca-Cola, and it was just like snaking around the road and so dangerous.
Yeah, it was nuts.
We
I
took
remember
a
I remember getting from Kamloops to because we would go across at the Sumas border, and I remember doing it in like 2 hours. It was under like yeah, I was doing like $1.70, $1.80 the whole way on the Coca-Cola for some stupid reason. Just get this
yeah,
brand
it's
new
not your
truck
car, right?
we
Who
were
cares?
sending to a dealer and just like raw, just screaming down the highway as hard as you can.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it was so fun. Some of those vehicles. We took a fleet of PT Cruisers one time, and we were at the toll booth when the toll booth was in on the Coke.
yeah.
And we went and paid our toll, and then you'd always use the bathroom, right? And we came back, and Jamie dropped the keys in the snow, and there was
No
like
way.
this much snow on the ground. And we were just like, it was brutal because everyone's agitated because they want to get going. And we were like searching, like scraping all the snow back and like everywhere from like the car to the toilet. And I think we were up there for like 45 minutes to an hour before we found the keys.
I might have been on that trip, but I feel like because I remember picking up a PT Cruiser with Chris Lemke, and then I think we
Yeah.
might have met up with you guys later. So we probably missed out on that part. But
Oh, you
that
maybe
was
went
another
ahead of us.
car. I got the manual and I just drove it into the ground.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I think a lot of these stories like wouldn't exist today because of technology. Like we wouldn't
Yeah.
be driving in a pack, right? We'd all to make our own way there. So there wouldn't be that kind of sense of community or the pressure of having to keep up with the car in front or even the frustration you would feel because one person has to get home for something. And so you got this pressure. Yeah, I don't think you'd have these adventures as much today, you know?
No, definitely not.
Siri would be telling you, do you realize that all the gas stations are closed? You should get gas right now.
Oh, good. I'll do that. Thanks, Siri. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Well, hopefully we've learned from our past mistakes to actually do that now. I don't know. Do you still
No,
try
I
to make it
haven't.
to the next town?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were driving back from Nelson last year, and I did the same thing. And then I'm just white knuckling it outside of like God knows where, up this hill with all the kids in the car, and then just this voice in my head saying, "Why didn't you pull over for gas back there?" And then literally we had to coast down. I had to put it in neutral. So this is only last year, and we're coasting down the hills to save fuel
Yeah.
and like roll into a gas station below E with like I probably lost like another 6 months off my life in stress.
How many fuel pumps have you changed in your life?
I know, hey, it's pretty hard on
Because
you.
it tends to burn the fuel pumps out when you run them low like that.
Yeah, well, diesel puts the fear of God in me because you got to
Oh,
bleed the engine.
yeah, get airlocks and
Yeah, I mean
trying to
modern
purge
diesels.
the system again.
I think modern diesels purge themselves, but usually with diesels, I don't play that game.
Yeah.
But gas, all bets are off, buddy. So the biggest, what do you think the biggest adventure was? The bus?
That
I
was
think so.
probably the most chaotic. I would say probably the biggest one would be Bella Coola.
Did you
When we
come to
went to
Bella Coola?
Heck yes. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, you, me,
I was like,
Ryan, and Joel.
all right. So let's talk about the bus one. So I was getting married and we were poor as church mice because we were all working at the church doing stuff, feeding the homeless. And I bought this 40-foot school bus that was going to be our home from Jen and I. And I cut the whole floor out because it was all rotten. And it had like a 440 gas engine, just a guzzler.
Yeah.
That's back when gas was cheap.
Probably had a little tiny carburetor about this big on it though.
Yeah. Yeah. But nice thing about those simple vehicles, you throw some gas down the carb and she'll always fire up.
Yeah.
So I remember, we lived in this thing for about a year in this RV park, and it was very old. And I think Jen and I had gotten an apartment, or we were living in the basement with Noel and Heather, and I had to sell this bus. So I found a buyer in a 100 Mile House who owned a kids camp, Christian kids camp. And so they bought the bus, or no, I think no, okay. So I donated it to them
Mm-hmm.
so that one of their camp people could live in it. So that was phase one. So I needed to get it from Kamloops to a 100 Mile House, which was probably on a good day, still 2.5, 3 hour drive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a guy named Clayton that came with us on that trip.
Did he?
Yeah.
He was.
You remember the big tall guy? I think his name was Clayton.
Yeah, he was another guy that I would not get along with, but we had this like connection over mechanical things.
Yeah.
I was like, he just got all fired up about trying to make something work. I was like, my people. And so I said, okay, we'll drive this bus out to 100 Mile House and park it, and you guys can use it for the summer until I can find someone to maybe buy it. And so I think I can't remember Clayton being with us, but we went up to the trailer park and got this thing going. Do you remember that? And the trailer park was like this tiered trailer park. So I was at the very, very top. And so we had to go down this super hairpin corner with everyone's trailers parked.
Sorry, wasn't it a Cambistito's place at that point?
Oh, you're right. Getting
We
it
had
to
to come down a
Cam's
long, steep hill to get out of Cambistito's place.
out of Barnhardtville.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember getting it to Cam's. Did you help me with that? And it was like,
I probably helped you
there was
bleed
no
the brakes.
help me be the base. We got it to Cam's. Then it was like, okay, you got to take it to 100 Mile House. So we went out there, and 100 Mile House, I mean, Cam's place was way up in the mountains, and we had to come down this huge steep hill to get to get to the highway. And I remember it coming, and you had to gear down. It had a splitter on the shifter, so it split the transmission. So you had like, how many gears would that be? Like 12 gears instead of, I don't know.
Double everything up.
Yeah, doubled everything up. And I remember coming down the hill, and the flames were coming out the muffler because it was backfiring so hard. And all the friggin' doors opened and all the cutlery was flying everywhere and everything was swinging. And I remember, I think you were in the Honda Civic following us or in front of us. And Clayton was like shutting doors and trying to stop everything falling out everywhere, running up and back, forward and back on the bus. And I'm driving this monster, this huge steering wheel.
Yeah. That was so sketchy.
Did you cut
Because
out?
we never got the brakes to work properly. So I remember us trying to bleed the brakes all the time. We probably never bench bled the master cylinder. So we could never seem to get the brakes to work properly. You would have to pump the brakes a bunch of times just to get like a mediocre pedal.
Yeah.
So,
So
which, and
how
then
much do
we'd
you
have to
reckon that?
drive down a, what's that?
Yeah, and what do you reckon that bus? It's a school bus, so it's like if you hit anyone, you're killing them.
Oh yeah,
I guess
it was probably 10,000 pounds.
10,000 pounds of sheer of steel
Yeah,
driving down a steep mountain road
yeah, kind of
with
stupid
traffic.
actually.
Yeah, yeah, really stupid. And I remember us getting to the bottom of the highway, and I was pumping. I'm like, okay, I got it working. I think I can handle this. And then we went up the highway, and then where it really started to go pear-shaped was coming into Cache Creek.
Yeah,
Remember that?
yeah,
So I'm
totally.
coming down, we're coming down this mountain range, and there's a four-way stop at the bottom that is busy, like semi-trucks flying through it. It's like a really busy intersection. You have to stop there. Otherwise, it's death. So we're coming down this windy road, and I'm pumping the brakes, and there's nothing. So there's clearly either air in the brakes or there's a leak that keeps happening.
Yeah,
And I think you're ahead of me, kind of like just waiting at the gas station. Maybe you were looking in your rearview mirror. And I can't remember Clayton being with us because I remember just being by myself, just sweating bullets. Or maybe he was with us, just like
I feel like I was
sweating
in the
bullets.
bus. I feel like I was in the bus and Clayton was following us, but I couldn't. Who knows? Doesn't like it's
Yeah.
all.
So all a blur of chaos. And so I started like driving it into the curb when I could see it, and the kind of mountain that was coming down on the side of the highway. There's clouds of smoke and dust, and then behind me rocks are getting dislodged. The rocks are bouncing on the road because all I can think of is this four-way stop at the bottom of the hill, and I've got
Yeah,
no brakes. And the problem is I can't change the thing down into first gear until I've slowed it down enough. Like it won't go. So every
yeah,
time I would try and pop it into neutral to get into another gear, I'd pick up a bit of speed. And it was like this super fast, like pop it out of gear and try and get into a lower gear. No, it's not going into lower gear, back into the higher gear, let the clutch out. And now you've gained 3 kilometers an hour of speed.
yeah,
And I drove it into the curb, but just enough so I wouldn't hop up onto like the sidewalk. So I was like, this curb is like only 6 inches tall, but I'm on a school bus.
yeah,
And I think somehow I managed to get, so somehow I would get it to a rolling stop. And I think it was a total fluke. No one was coming. And I rolled through the light and up into Petrocan
yeah.
and was like, yeah, got out. And you were like, what the heck were you doing back there, man? There's stuff flying. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, dude, there's no brakes.
Just crazy. If I was in your situation, I don't think I ever would have thought I'll brush the curb and try to scrub some speed. Like maybe would have gone into some like S turns or something. Like I don't know how I'd handle a situation like that. Depends what the traffic's doing.
So yeah, we're coming down and we managed to get to the gas station. I don't know what you were saying about it, but I couldn't go into the other lane because there was cars coming up. And then I remember us being at that gas station trying to re-bleed the brakes. We probably had like a 5 liter of brake fluid.
Yeah.
And so then the strategy was, I think the brakes were pretty screwed at that point. And we made the decision. It was like, there was never kind of like, oh, I think we should stop, hit pause, go back home, fix the brakes. But we had no money. So we were just like, well, that wasn't on the table. It was always just like, well, we're still got to get to the 100-mile house because it was like pre-cell phone, right? So you couldn't call and say we're having troubles. It was like they were expecting us. So you just kept on moving forward.
Yeah.
And I remember you getting a piece of fire. We found a piece of firewood, like a wedge of firewood. And the plan was you would drive behind the bus. And if for some reason we came up a hill that we needed to stop at, so if someone was making a left turn or something, you remember this?
Chalking the wheels.
So you were going to stop your car. And in the time it took to get out of your car, grab the wood, and run up and put a piece of wood behind the wheel, you would hope to God the bus hadn't rolled over your car. Do you remember that?
Not really, but I could see us doing that 100%.
So we're like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
And I think I said, I'll try and ride the clutch just to
Yeah,
kind of
just
keep it from rolling onto you.
bump it, bump it.
Yeah. And we're in 100, I don't know how many 1,000 pound, like a massive steel juggernaut going down the
Yeah.
road. So we made it to 100 Mile, and it was like sweating bullets. And I think a couple times you did have to put the wood block behind the wheel. And I remember parking it there, and we drove home in your Honda Civic, and on the on-ramp past Cache Creek onto the highway, your car, or I don't know how we got onto the highway back to Kamloops, your car failed.
Really?
Yeah, it was like something to do with the cam or something. And we had to
No.
do a repair on the road.
No, no, no. You're thinking of a different trip. You're thinking of the trip when we went up and picked the bus up the last time.
Okay.
My rotor on my Honda, the set screw came out of the rotor on the distributor. And so the rotor was just spinning on the shaft. So we're stuck on the side of the road and it won't start. And I get this strange idea to pull the cap off and check, and I find the set screw just lying inside the distributor cap. So I turned the thing around and screwed the set screw up, and it fired right up and kept us going. So yeah, that was like a weird random one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was on the way back, or I think
Was
that
that?
was the one on the way back with Josh there.
No, it was
I
just
think
you
we
and
might
me.
have picked up Josh or something.
Yeah. So so the bus stayed there for a year, and then I sold it to this couple who lived about 45 minutes to an hour away from the camp. So a
Yeah.
year later, I think I called you up and said, "You want to do this again?" Sure.
Were we in Vancouver at that point?
No, no, we were in Kamloops still.
Okay.
So we drove up to 100 Mile in your little Honda. I remember camping the night in one of the cabins, and you had your laptop, and we were sleeping on a bunk bed, and you were like watching Michael Jackson or something. Just a weird memory. And so the next day, this thing has been parked in the bushes for a year, a winter and a summer. And so we have these people. I remember the pressure was on because these people said, if it starts and runs, we'll take it. So we went up there, and the next morning it was like, we have to have and they were scheduled to come at like noon. And so the next morning was like, we have to get this bus started and running so that when they come, they'll buy it. So we haven't done this whole trip in vain. And I remember we went to the bus, and it was like, we put a battery in it. It was like click, click.
Yeah.
And then it was like, we could not get the thing started.
It would crank, but really, really slowly.
Right. Maybe we
Yeah.
didn't even have a battery. It's probably my luck. I didn't even take a good battery. So then the camp owner says, well, I got a digger. And so we had another bright idea. Let's tow it with the digger to the top of a hill. You jump inside the engine compartment with the hood up and pour gas down the carburetor while we're thundering down a dirt road towards a lake. And hopefully it fires up and starts so I can stop it before we all die.
And we didn't even have brakes. So I can't remember if there was a run out or what was going on, but
yeah, maybe it was like go like this, but everyone was like, that's a good idea. And it was, again, the pressure was on. These people were coming. There wasn't any plan B. There wasn't an option. It was like, have an idea, sounds moderately decent with no other options. And so I remember we tied a rope around this thing. The guy towed us to the top of the hill. You jumped inside the engine compartment with a jerry can.
crammed.
And so, yeah, crammed in there with
The hood like sitting on my back. I'm like knees up, crouched, like sitting basically on the inner fender. I wish the video was working right now. And like I'm just all crunched up, almost in the fetal position, holding this jerry can over the carburetor, getting ready to dump gasoline into it.
And I can see,
running.
And I can see, because the hood's up, so I can see between the window. I can just see like your knee and a bit of the jerry. Like I can't see your face or anything. And you're realizing this road is really bumpy. And if it fires up, the fan was a huge fan.
Right?
Could potentially take your toe off or suck you in, like grab your jeans and you're done. None of that was a consideration. It was like, we'll just do it, roll the dice. And then once it starts, I'm going to hit the brakes. So you have the potential of getting really jostled around in there.
We didn't have brakes though.
No, we didn't have any brakes. So I think the road went like this and then kind of went up again. But it was a one-time thing. These people were coming and it was like, okay, let the rope go. And they just like let the rope go. And off the thing starts to creep and gather up speed. So you had to pour gas in, and I had to have it in second gear and drop the clutch.
Yeah, like because obviously the carburetor would have been dry, the fuel pump would have been dry, So I needed to be there to get enough gas, A, to start it up, B, to keep it going until it started bringing fuel up from the fuel tank.
If we had had cell phones, bro, we would have been viral. Big time.
Oh yeah. We would have had somebody filming off to the side with a GoPro or something.
It would have been viral.
Yeah.
What are these guys up to now? And I remember dropping the clutch and the baby fired up and the fan put up so much air. Like you were just stuff, like it was blowing. And we managed to keep it idling.
Yeah.
And no one died. And then we didn't shut it down. We were like, the owners come here and the thing is running.
Yeah.
And that thing purred like a kitten.
440s always ran good.
Yeah. I remember it ticking a lot.
Yeah.
So then they come and they say, okay, we'll take it. But the deal is you got to drive it to our place. And so, okay, where's your place? And it was like, follow us. No, they didn't follow us. They gave us directions.
Yeah.
And so we're like, cool. So we're driving out of this camp, this kids camp, and it was a single road winding around a lake with a high bank on one side and the other side is a lake. So if anyone's coming towards you, you have to stop and someone has to reverse into a lay-by. And this is a family Christian kids camp and it's the summer. So people are coming. And so we decide to drive it there because, again, no other option. And we realize, and we don't want to tell them that there's no brakes. So we say, you go ahead, we'll meet you there, because we didn't want them to see the chaos of how the heck we're going to get it there. And so I remember driving this windy road. You're behind me. And again, I start to pick up speed. And all I can think in my head is, if a family comes towards us in a minivan, I'm going to kill them or seriously injure them.
Yeah.
And it's just hoping to God that doesn't happen. And so I'm starting to pick up speed and I'm starting to get like, oh shit, like this, I got to slow this thing down. So I start like ramming it into the side of the bank.
No, you'd kicked the splitter out at this point, the gear splitter on the diff, and it took off on you.
Oh, right. I couldn't get it into gear to slow it down.
Yeah. So you decided to do something where you're going to attempt to do the gear splitter to get a lower gear, and it kicked out a gear on the diff. And then, so you had gears on your stick, but the differential wouldn't go back into gear on the lower gear. And I remember driving behind you and just hearing this.
So it was trying to drive.
You're trying and it wouldn't go into gear. So now you're just running out on this like steady downsloped hill, and then you start running away. And I'm just like, what's going on right now? What's that noise? Just chasing behind you in the Honda Civic.
Yeah. So then I think, okay, I've got to slow down because I don't want to kill anybody. I really was worried about someone coming towards us. Because I'm like, I literally won't stop. I will slam into your car and just keep on pushing until the thing stops.
Yeah.
And so I remember it feeling like Indiana Jones. I had this big ass steering wheel. It's like 4 feet across, it felt like, ramming it into the bank and little shrub. And I had the window open, on a sliding window on the side of the bus, and dirt and rocks and branches were coming into the bus. And I could see you in the rearview mirror. You're dodging all the rocks that I'm dislodging. Like, and like your face is so bewildered. Like, what on earth is going on? And I finally got the thing to slow down and just kept on going and just hoping there's not another hill. I think I got the diff to work. I got it slow enough that the diff would click in, and then we just keep on driving. So you're just like, what the heck was that? And the bus is full of dust and dirt and branches coming in the window. And then there was smoke started coming out of the hood.
I don't remember this part.
Yeah, and so I slowed down to a stop, and you ran out and put the block behind the tire. Because I remember we were on a logging road, and it slowly started creeping back. And I think it stalled out because the smoke was coming and that. And so you quickly ran out before it crushed your Honda, stuck the wood under, and we opened the hood, and the battery had caught, like the terminals had crossed over and were arcing out.
Oh,
remember
from all the bumping around.
Yeah. And it had fried the battery. So now we couldn't start it. And we're on this like flat-ish hill kind of tilted backwards. And I remember there was a house there, and it was a really sketchy like house, like looked like a total drug house. And we went and knocked on the door, and I remember being a bit worried about who was going to come out. And we asked this guy if he would help push the bus.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
So the bus is sitting on this logging road. Well, it's not a logging road. It's like a road, but it's gravel. It's not asphalt. And we have this stranger come out with his wife who looked like real inbreeders, and you and me and him and his wife are pushing the bus, and no one is at the steering wheel. You remember that?
I don't remember anybody not being in the steering wheel. It wouldn't surprise me. That's what we
We
did,
needed
though.
everybody.
Yeah.
We got the bus rolling. We got it to the crest of the hill, and then it started to go down the hill. We got enough speed in it, and then I leave you guys and start running up beside the 40-foot bus, jump in the door, stick it into gear, drop the clutch, it fires up, and then I just start driving. And I looked in the rear view, and you guys are just standing there on the road. I'm like, I can't stop.
Just gone.
Yeah. And those guys
Thank
just like,
you.
I
Waving
guess
out the
that
window.
happened. And then we made it to the house, and you again, I remember you running and putting the block behind the wheel, and it was dark. And they said, we want it in the forest. And I'm like, really? Like, yeah, up that hill, and it's all like saplings and trees and like full on bush. We want it up in the bush up there. It's going to be our little cabin. And you were like, I remember you saying, okay, I'm coming in the bus for this. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And we just pulled a left turn off this road into bush and just pinned it up this hill. And all these trees are just like getting crushed in front of it like a bulldozer. And it was so fun because they gave us a total green light. Because I remember saying, like, if we damage the vehicle, you okay? Like, we don't care. You do it. We'll live with it. And this
Yeah.
bus is unstoppable. And it just went up the hill, crushing trees, and we parked it, and the rest was history. We walked away from that thing, and holy crap.
It wouldn't surprise me if it's still sitting there.
Oh yeah, it's probably rat infested.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then on the way back, your car broke down.
Yeah. That's when the rotor fell off the distributor. Yeah. I thought we came from Vancouver that time because you were not.
Yeah,
My recollection of us being, because the vehicle had died on the road after that whole scenario of us bumping down the side of the road. I remember praying that we could get the bus running again or something. And you were, at the time, I remember being like, oh yeah, Joby's not really he's not really
doing the
into
Christian thing.
praying at this point. But you actually threw out a couple, you're like, yeah, help us, Lord. And I was like, oh, I was kind of surprised that you threw that out there at the time. So I thought you were in Vancouver.
I think we
living
were
there.
too, because your car broke down was on the on-ramp from Hope onto the highway.
Yeah.
That's true. You're right. Yeah. That was our last adventure. But then Bella Coola, maybe that can be our last story.
Yeah, totally.
So, you want to shoot?
So Bella Coola, I remember it was like a random last minute, hey, can you come on this trip? And obviously I was like, yeah, totally. And I think you were doing Jesus School at the time. So it was probably the first year of doing Jesus School, because Ryan Rudachuk was part of the class, and so he was he was in the group. Joel Bastido was there, and we got in a bus that was from Mike Gunn that we'd borrowed.
It was all boys, right? Like it was me,
Yeah, four of us.
Joel, and Rudachuk.
Yeah. So we all headed up.
And Mike Gunn had a 4-wheel drive, like a beauty, like a 16-passenger van that was 4x4.
Yeah, tons of room. Like we all had our own full bench seat to lay out on, and it was more than enough room. So you guys told me where we were going, and I had worked for a guy in my early 20s that had lived in Anaheim Lake for a long time. So before we even got there, I'm telling you stories that they had relayed to me about this like crazy switchback going down into Bella Coola or Bella Bella, whatever it is, out of Anaheim Lake. And these stories of these people driving off the switchback cliffs and getting like impaled on the trees. And then if your vehicle got abandoned, like it would get burned to the ground. So I'm telling you guys, as we're driving up there, telling you about all these stories that somebody else had relayed to me, which probably didn't help the whole scenario when everything went sideways. So
yeah. And for those who don't know, Kula, BC is just crazy terrain, but you drive to get to Bella Coola is it's down the bottom of a mountain range by the ocean. So you go up to the top of the mountain, you have to go all the way down it. And I think I found out after the fact they sell t-shirts that says survive the Bella Coola Road.
Anaheim Lake Road, yeah.
Yeah. And then our gig, we were it was a reservation gig, was in Bella Bella. So once you get to Bella Coola, you got to take a float plane to Bella Bella, which is an island. So yeah, what happened there? We were driving down. I remember it being almost dark when we started driving down this treacherous road, which wasn't the greatest idea.
It was super late. I think it was one of those times we actually decided to get gas before we like kept going. And then We got to the switchback area, made our way down through the switchback, and then I'm gonna say we maybe drove for like 20 minutes, a half hour past the switchback. And
Yeah.
I can't remember, it might have been 11:30 at night or something, and then the van just died.
Yeah. And it was
Like
a
we're
good van. It was like one of the best vans we'd ever driven
yeah,
as far as,
totally.
yeah.
And it just completely upped,
Oh,
nothing, like up and died, nothing. Pulled off to the side of the road. We probably spent a half hour on it, like banging on the gas tank, wondering if it was the fuel pump, doing some kind of diagnosis stuff. And we're in the middle of nowhere, so we're like, are there bears around here? What's going on? And you guys are like, I think we're gonna have to just start walking. And I'm like, dude, if we walk, our car's gonna get burned to the ground because of the stories that like
Yeah.
I've been told before from the people that lived in Anaheim Lake. And you're like, it'll be fine. I'm like, I'm telling you, we leave this thing, all our stuff is getting torched. And you're like, it'll be fine. So yeah, we just start hoofing it at that point. Just
And we
this
left all of our
long,
gear in the van.
yeah,
I remember the feeling of that evening. I mean, it was dark and just it was so quiet down there.
yeah, dead quiet. So we're walking down that winding road, and then we start hearing, it's probably like 12:30 at night now, or 1 in the morning. And we start hearing this like distant noise. This like, it almost sounded like screaming. I don't know. What's your recollection of what we were hearing?
Yeah, there was like talking and then some kind of like it was definitely like a radio, right?
Yeah.
It was like someone was telling a story on the radio or something, and it was bloody creepy.
Yeah, like 1 in the morning, and this, so we didn't even realize it was a radio playing until we got in front of the property. And like, and it's not like it's like at like volume 2. It's like the thing is pinned to 11.
Yeah.
Like it's screaming loud. There's nobody around, not a soul in the area except like there's a property there, but it doesn't look like anybody's home. And this radio just screaming. So we're just like, at
It
this
was
point, we start getting weirded out.
it was a truck with the door left open. I remember it was like
Oh
an old
yeah.
Chevy truck, and the door was open. The house, there was no lights on in the house, and it was CBC, and they were
Yeah.
doing some kind of reenactment story blaring out of this truck. And we're just standing on the side of the road looking at this thing. And all I can remember is my heart started beating. All of us seemed to have at the very same time, like this, we just got spooked.
Yeah.
And we started running. Remember? It felt like there was going to be an axe murderer coming for us. Like it felt so creepy.
Yeah.
And I remember we just started running and kind of laughing, but it was like a nervous laugh. But we didn't want to stop running until the noise was like faint in the background. And then we stopped, and it was like this kind of like, ha, like laughing, but also no one wanting to really admit that that was really scary.
Yeah.
And then we got to the parking lot. We found a parking lot. We got into Bella Coola outskirts, and there was a payphone there. And we went through the Yellow Pages phone book, and we found a tow truck company in Williams Lake, which is 2.5 hours away,
Hmm.
I want to say. We call up this place, this tow truck company. I don't think it was like midnight yet. I think it was like 9 or 10 o'clock. And
Really?
yeah, I think so, because someone answered the phone, or maybe we woke someone up. Because I think I remember a lady answering the phone thing, and she answered the phone and woke her husband up. I'm like, we've broken down in Bella Coola. We need to get a tow. And he's like, I'll be there tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I was like, well, our van is on the side of the road, so bring a flatbed or whatever you bring, but we're not going to be there. So just bring it and then drive down, and we'll be at the parking lot where the payphone is.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. So then it's like nighttime. We're starving hungry, and it's starting to get really cold down there because you're close to the ocean. And you and me decided to go and steal firewood, and we would try and light a fire and keep warm around the fire. Remember that?
Yeah. We were kind of in the parking lot of a
It's like a community hall.
campground with like teepees and stuff. And we were all like, maybe we should sleep in the teepees, but we decided not to because we wanted to be out front so that the tow truck driver could see us. So yeah, yeah, I remember Ryan being kind of cold, and so we were like, well, we got to get some firewood. So you and me went on scope patrol,
Yeah.
and there was a property across the street, and we kind of snuck into the yard. I want to say it was in the middle of the night at this point. And then, yeah, so we found a big like we might have been busting some boards up at that point and maybe gotten something small going, but we went and got a bunch more firewood. So you and me snuck into this guy's property and found a pile of firewood up against this side to this guy's house.
It was
And I can't,
underneath like a deck,
a window or something, yeah. And I can't remember if you were handing me firewood or vice versa,
I remember
but
you
we were like,
sliding it out like really quietly and then handing it to me, and we made a noise and we heard this dunk, dunk,
yeah,
dunk, 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 dunk. Like someone was walking around right above us.
yeah. Yeah, so we grabbed everything we could and then ran off the property, probably laughing, made it across the street, got a fire going. I remember us like having like a bunch of plywood or something. Not plywood, but like 2x4s or something, and me being in the middle of this parking lot, like 1 a.m, like snapping boards and like kicking board. You know, you lean a board up against something or a stick and you like kick it and
Yeah.
it snaps it in half.
Yeah.
I remember me like in the middle of the night, like just breaking up sticks and like trying to break the wood up so we could get more wood on the fire, just causing chaos.
Well, I remember there being like 10-foot high flames and no one came and said, "Hey, what's going on over here?" Like we
Yeah.
had this big fire, and then we were shivering like crazy trying to keep warm and maybe grab a few minutes of sleep, because the next morning we had to be on a plane to go to Bella Bella. Like it was a chartered plane, so it all had to happen. And then I think 9 o'clock in the morning, we heard this diesel truck coming down the road. And sure enough, there's this flatbed truck with our van on the back of it. And he drove us like a mile into town, not even. And there's a gas station. And I think we waited for it to open. The mechanic came out and he's like, he's like, we got to catch a flight in like, did we stay in a hotel there? No. Okay, so we had to catch a flight and we were living on no sleep. And
Yeah.
he's like, leave it with me. And I said, we'll pick it up after we come back from Bella Bella. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
So they unload it. The tow truck drives off, and we jump in this plane with all of our drum kit and everything in this tiny little 6-passenger float plane painted blue. And I remember us sitting, and they all made us put these tractor headphones on, and we were sitting on the airstrip, and he brought it up to takeoff RPMs, and this huge backfire. This big black cloud of smoke went down. I remember us looking at each other like, shit. And at that point, you kind of think everything we touch just turns to chaos. This is just going to be another one. And he took off, and I remember us going right between all the mountains, and he said, this is an old Korean War plane from the Korean War, and I can't get enough altitude to go over the mountains, so we got to go through them.
Yeah.
You remember that? And then we landed in Bella, and we had to. And then Ryan's like, dude, I got no stands for my floor tom. So we had to go to the metal shop in the school and cut some steel. Maybe you did this part. We found some like 1/2-inch steel rod and cut 3 lengths of it that would fit into the floor tom.
Oh my gosh.
And we played a show. I remember we played a show and we were so sleep deprived. And we did all of our stuff. And it was the first time we'd all done it together because none of us had done anything together. So I think we talked in the van on the way up there about what we were going to do.
Yeah.
I don't think even we rehearsed music. I think Ryan was just going along like, I hope this is the way the song goes.
I think that's the one where I went up and my character was in Scottish. And so I did the whole skit in a Scottish accent. And then for some reason, I decided to stay in character while I did the motivational speech. So when I finished, I'm just like, all right. And it was like a really strong Scottish accent.
And I'm like, you're just like way overtired. And I remember thinking, what's he doing?
The moral of this story is that you don't want to get addicted to drugs. It's bad for you, all right? And just like in my head, I'm like, what am I doing right now? Just stop the accent and talk normally. And I just kept going. I was like fully committed. I was just sleep deprived, probably going for like 36 hours, except for maybe an hour we slept we got towed into town or something.
Yeah, and then they said, "Oh, you can't." We like, all we want to do is go to wherever we're supposed to stay tonight and catch some sleep. And like, no, we've organized a dance party for you guys tonight.
Yeah.
So we go to and I remember Bella Coola being covered in eagles. Remember eagles everywhere? Well, Bella Bella. And we go to this house, and then we hear this like music, but really frapping, like the
Yeah,
speakers were blown.
distorting.
And we go down into the basement, and there is a stereo, a regular house stereo, full blast. The speakers are totally blown in it. There's probably 25, 30 people down there, and people with flashlights. So it's pitch black. And there
Yeah.
was a couple people with like flashlights, and this was the dance party. And we had to like, they done it for us, so we had to like get in there and really try and enjoy ourselves.
Yeah. Just running on adrenaline.
Yeah, man. And then so we finished that whole episode. We get back to Bella Coola, and we go to the mechanic, and he's like, you're something's wrong with your van and I can't fix it. So like, oh my God. So the saga hadn't ended, and we're still kind of wrecked from the whole trip. And I remember we didn't have any money, so we went to the hotel, and I think we asked them if we could play music that night, if we could stay in the hotel, because all we wanted to do was have a shower. And we went, and there was a bar underneath the motel, and we said, if we play tonight, would you let us stay in the hotel? And they're like, no, we've already got someone booked, or something like that. But I think they just let us stay there out of the goodness of their heart. Or we maybe had it for a couple of hours, so we could all grab a shower and kind of lay on the bed and figure out our next plan. So we called the same tow truck company, and he drove all the way from Williams Lake and got there the next day, and then loaded the van back onto his flatbed. But in the tow truck was only room for one person. So this must be totally illegal. He said,
100%.
you guys sit in the van. So this isn't just a regular van. It's like a four-wheel drive jacked up van. So it's like 4 to 6 inches higher than your standard passenger van, on top of a flatbed, bouncing around like it's strapped down. And he's now got to drive the Bella Coola highway, and we're in a van on top of a flatbed truck.
Yeah.
Like, so now you're looking down the ravine. So this is unbelievable, Wes, and I cannot believe this happened. So we're driving up the road, heading to Williams Lake to try to get the truck to a dealership, a Ford dealership, so they can figure out what's wrong. And the tow truck breaks down right at the foot of the Bella Coola Mountain. Do you remember that?
I remember did you run out of gas or something? Oh yeah, and we had to get diesel out of that gravel pit.
Yeah, so I mean, at this point you feel like the story of Jonah in the Bible. Like, everything I touch turns to shit. And the tow truck breaks down. And we get out, and he's like, I think what he did is he tried to switch fuel tanks.
Oh, okay.
And it didn't work. And there was a grader in a gravel pit. So you and me go up there and try to siphon diesel out of this grader and put it into the tank. So he had 2 gas tanks. The front tank had emptied. He was switching it over to the rear gas tank, and it wasn't working. So we needed to get diesel into the first gas tank. So again, we MacGyvered something, siphoned diesel out of the grader, got the thing running again, and then he drove. I remember looking out of the window, like I was in the driver's seat of this van, looking down at this ravine, like super sketchy.
No control whatsoever.
No, you're in the
Just
hands
at the
of a tow
mercy of
truck.
somebody else. Yeah.
I mean, we laughed so much back then. Just everything was just comical. I mean, it was just funny, man. And then we made it to Williams Lake, and I think it was like a big deal. Like the EGR had blown, like the computer.
Yeah.
And we was stranded in Williams Lake for maybe 4 or 5 days.
Was it that long?
Yeah, we stayed with Christy Thornwald's father, and we ended up going to work with him, putting insulation in.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and then all the money, because the reason we did that trip is you guys were going to donate the money that we were going to make from that trip to finance some like Jesus school thing. So it was like we're going to do this trip, and instead of like us getting paid, it was all like, we didn't make a dime for that whole trip. It was all going to go to that, and it all ended up going to repairing the van.
Yeah, because Mike Gunn was like, you broke it on your watch, so you pay for it, and it wasn't cheap.
Which is kind of not cool, because it's one of those scenarios. It's like, this is not a like we were being rough on it.
Nope.
It was like
it was going to happen anyway.
It was the timing. Yeah, we just happened to have the vehicle. It's not like we were rat bagging it and like we threw a rod or something like that, or like put it into a curb and we needed to replace a wheel bearing or something. It's like, this was just a ticking time bomb. We just happened to have it. So, yeah.
There's so many vehicle adventures that I had that you weren't there when we went to like that exact van. We were driving to a mission trip to Pekanchicum, and Mike Gunn was driving it, and we were in Saskatchewan, and we come over this overpass, and there's 3 deer right in front of us, and we just slammed a deer full tilt, 100 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour. And I remember I got out, and Mike was really shook up, and all the students were in the van just like, oh my God, the Bambi, you killed Bambi. And the deer was like on the road, and its mom and brother or whatever were watching. The other 2 deer were just watching on the side of the road, and I had to like break its neck.
You didn't have a knife on you or anything? It slit its throat?
No, I mean, no. So I remember trying to break its neck, and I looked up at the back of the van, and there's all these girls just staring out the window as I'm like trying to break the neck of this. And it's not easy breaking the neck of a deer.
Oh, yeah.
And then the whole rest of the drive, it stank like burnt deer fur, because all the deer fur got on the radiator. So when you want to turn the heat on, because it was winter, all it smelled like was burnt deer hair.
Man, that's brutal.
But like we had, I mean, I could go on with, because like, but I was driving like remember the purple Burden, that van that I put a Mustang transmission in?
The Ford, yeah.
So the gear shifter was way back here because it was a Mustang transmission, and we had that thing break down. Then we had the propane vans that broke down, and I had students hold. We asked neighbors around if they had barbecue tanks, and they gave us like, I think we had 3 barbecue tanks, and we said, we'll give them back to you on our way back. And I had this transfer pipe, and I had students in the middle of winter, the back window of the van would flip open, and they would hold the barbecue tank with their gloves until that hand got frozen, then switch it. And there was a pipe going out and down into the propane tank of the vehicle. So if they had dropped that tank, it was like a bomb.
Oh, yeah.
It was only them gripping the tank out this tiny little slit of a window, and this pipe that was going out. So someone had driven by and just knocked that pipe off, or if they had dropped the barbecue tank, and that thing was like flailing behind on the road. I mean, geez, man, and they're all, like you say, they're all from having no money, doing a big dream with very little money.
Yeah. It's the only way to do it, in my opinion. Makes it be super fun. Well, it's like the time I took my motorcycle, my buddy's motorcycle down to the island, and we were just broke, missed the ferry, made a raft, and then like, you just stupid stuff that ends up happening because of it. So
didn't your bike fall in the water?
Oh yeah, we made a raft, put the motorcycle on the raft, pushed it out onto the water, and it was starting to get wavy. We took it out to the breakwater, kind of adjusted the bike on the raft, and then my buddy Chad jumped on the side of the raft, and we were going to paddle across between Denman Island and Hornby Island, and it tipped up on its side, and the bike just slid straight off and like right into the ocean. But luckily we were only 5-6 feet off the shore, but it was a drop off, so the whole bike, like the side view mirrors were just poking out of the water. There's bubbles pouring out of the bike, and everything's getting filled with salt water, and hauled the bike out up these rocks, bashed it on the rocks and everything, getting it out. Bike wouldn't start, rolled it onto the ferry the next morning, got it onto Hornby Island, and then we drained the oil, put new oil in it, flushed the gas tank out, fired right up, and we drove it back to Kamloops. So, yeah. Oh, my back?
Yeah, I thought might as well be back for a few minutes.
Okay.
Well, bro,
back, baby.
Should we leave it there?
Yeah.
That's an hour and 40 minutes we've been yapping on.
It's not bad. It's good to kind of recount this stuff. Like, it's just funny, the stuff that you remember that I've completely forgotten about. But as soon as you say something, the memory comes back, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's just wild.
Yeah, it's funny how your stories, like you live your life, right? So you don't think that your stories are extraordinary because that's what you live. And then you start to tell these stories. Like I remember I was hunting with Mike Maynard and his son, right? And we were up there in the woods for 7 days with no Wi-Fi. And there's no, I got to pause your camera again. You're off again.
What a pain. Can you hear me?
Yeah. And so no one's talking around the fire at night. And so I just start talking about my life. And they're all just like jaws on the ground, like, what? And afterwards they're like, did you make some of that up? I'm like, no, not at all. I didn't embellish any of it. And you realize that a lot of people live a really safe life. Like they don't, like from the way I've lived my life has been like, I've got 50 to 60% assurity that it's going to work out. And the other 40 is completely not been thought through. And I make my decision based, like I don't kind of sit there with a spreadsheet and think, okay, if this happens. It's like, the idea seems all right. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And
I need to get here and I'm here. So let's just see what happens along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
And I realized, like a lot of people have played it very, very safe and have kind of thought things through to the point where they just don't do it because the risk is too high,
Yeah.
you know. And some things have been like, my body's covered in scars from not thinking things through. But heck, man, it's a life lived, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love some of the stories. I'm not going to tell this story on here because it might get me in trouble, but I had a bunny hunting incident about a year ago when I was doing carnivore. And
You're trying to kill your own meat
yeah.
in
So I have this.
Vancouver.
Let's not talk about where it happened.
Let me guess. I bet it's Richmond because it's
No,
covered
no,
in
no.
rabbits.
No, I don't want I don't want to get in trouble if I say anything. So, anyways, I have this bow and arrow, and I was like, so I kind of got my target practice done in my living room, and like I set this box up and was doing my bow and arrow, and then I went to this place where there's lots of bunnies, which I won't say the area, and then tried to kill a rabbit, and the rabbit turned on me right as I was shooting the arrow, so I had a broadside shot. And then right as I was about to let go of the arrow, the bunny jumped and turned like backside to me. And my arrow went through its back leg and then into its body. And the rabbit like went screaming, running down the like through the area I was hunting. And I was
With an arrow trailing.
yeah, and just like I've never heard the like worst screaming in my life. I didn't know bunnies could scream. It
Yeah.
was just this torrential, just it was freaky. So
And you live
so
you're not in rural like where I live. You're in
no,
Vancouver.
no. Yeah, exactly. So I hope this doesn't get me in trouble.
No, I won't.
So the rabbit runs into like a bramble bush, and I'm like, I gotta go get like I've obviously injured this thing. I can't let it sit there and like die in pain, or like I need to put it out of its misery. So I have to like climb into the brambles and go find this thing. And I crawl into the bramble bushes. I'm on my belly, like in a hoodie with like covered up around my face because there's prickles all over the place. And I'm like busting out branches to get into the bramble bush. And I get underneath and I reach out and try to grab the rabbit by the scruff of the neck.
It's
And
still
I
alive.
touch him and he bounces away from me and he's dragging something. And I'm like, what the heck? What's that? And I pick it up and I realize it's his intestines hanging out of its side. Yeah. So it's now bounced around the base of this like bush, this bramble bush, and I have to climb back out, come around from the other side. I managed to get it out. I have to put the thing out of its misery. I end up like burying it in my backyard afterwards.
Didn't eat any of the
And
meat.
it was all spoiled because like the arrow went right through its guts and there was like feces everywhere. He even had spots on his liver and stuff. So you're not supposed to process the meat when
Oh
the
yeah.
liver's infected. So it was just a total waste. I felt terrible. But we're sitting around for Christmas last year and my cousin kept bringing up her brain injury story like obsessively and just talking, and my nieces are sick of hearing this story. So she's like, Uncle Wes, tell us a story. Tell us a funny story. This is Christmas dinner. And then I proceed to go, hey, this one time I went and killed this rabbit. And I told this whole story at like Christmas dinner about me killing this rabbit. I'm like, oh my God.
Girls are in tears.
I'm traumatized for Christmas dinner.
Oh,
It was
geez.
hilarious. Yeah. But yeah, these things still happen to us because I don't know, it's like built into our DNA of who we are. We don't really think things through. We just kind of go for it and chaos
yeah.
ensues and it makes for a funny story. But yeah, you're right. People are sitting there with their jaws on the ground because they would never do something like that.
Yeah. Well, I remember I don't know if you've ever been on any of my boating escapades, but I've had a string of shitty boats that I got working. And I remember the feeling of like when the boat would break down secretly inside, I started to feel like, okay, now this is where the fun starts. And all
Yeah.
my friends would be like, yeah, I'm not coming boating with you anymore because it always breaks down. And I remember feeling really perplexed by it because I was like, there's certain people that when put in that situation that we all have a great time figuring
Yeah.
out how we're going to get back to shore. But there's a lot of people that hate that. They're like,
Yeah.
if it doesn't go perfect, they don't want anything to do with it. Whereas to me, that life is somewhat boring. Like, and so I would feel this like excitement, and then I didn't want to share that because I thought people thought I was like a sadist or something. Like, oh, you just like it when things are going bad. It's like, no, it makes me feel alive because now I've got to figure out a solution.
Yeah, it puts you into problem solving mode, and that's kind of where I shine.
Yeah.
Like I always said, it'd be great to have around in an apocalypse because I'd be the guide that everybody would be coming to figure out what we needed to do and how to fix things and make things work. And
Totally.
yeah,
Yeah. I love that. Okay, bro. Good to connect, man. Let's try
yeah,
getting you camera a blurry Wes. You won't be blurry when I edit it. It'll be fine.
okay, nice.
Wow.
So you just you edit this thing all together and post it up because I'm assuming we're not live right now.
No. Yeah, I'll edit it and I'll send you a link. Well,
Cool.
you follow the channel maybe.
Yep.
You'll see it.
On
It probably won't be
Instagram.
up for a week or so.
It took me a little while to find where I could actually watch it. I think I found it on YouTube, and there was just like an audio thing on
Do you
there.
have
Whereas you were,
Spotify?
I'm not on Spotify. No,
Are you on Apple? No.
I don't really listen to like music in
Oh,
that
okay.
form. I listen to
Yeah.
records, and that's about it.
Nice. Yeah, on Spotify, there's video, and then I have to manually post them on YouTube, so I'm a little behind on that if you want to watch
Oh,
the
okay.
video part. So, yeah, I've started posting the video part on YouTube now.
Yeah. When did you start doing this?
I don't know, like 2 or 3 months ago. It was me and my sister. We always talk, Abby and me, and when we just thought, let's do a podcast. And she's like, nah, I don't want to do it. And then one day I'm like, we're doing it.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun, connecting with
Nice.
people from the past. And yeah, I don't know. It's like a creative thing that
Was
slots
it
into
like because you said something about breaking your back? I was wondering if you started doing like kind of during your recovery time or something.
No, I think we were doing it before then.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know. My life's not busy enough. I just had to add something else in. But, it's like a creative outlet. I don't play music anymore, do anything. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Try not to hold it too tightly, but it's kind of
Yeah.
fun having like a locked in conversation. Like, you say, hey, how's it going? And then you go, right? But actually having like
Yeah.
an hour and a half or 2 hours to actually lock in and talk. Most people I talk to really appreciate it. Oh, that was really good. It felt good to kind of like really go in depth on something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. How's that hand of yours? Is that why you don't play guitar anymore, or the one that you injured in the?
yeah, so the auger, you can see this scar here,
Yeah.
kind of wraps around. That was the auger accident. That was the one that was like almost life-changing. I recover from that, and then mountain biking, I've got stitches from here to here and a piece of plate. I snapped my wrist mountain biking, and that one has stopped me from being able to play guitar.
No
'Cause
way.
I just can't bend my wrists like it's my
Yeah.
left, right? So I can play way up the fretboard, but it starts to ache. So yeah, this arm
That
is
sucks.
this arm has been hit.
Is that difficult to deal with? Like knowing you can't pick up a guitar and play like you used to, or have you just kind
No.
of come to terms
No,
with it?
I don't really, I just kind of seem to, throughout my life, I just, once something dries up, I just move on to another creative outlet,
Yeah.
like building business and then, building stuff with my hands. And as long as I'm being creative in some form, I don't feel the itch. Sometimes me and my daughter used to play songs and I like it, but it's weird like that. I just kind of run something through till I feel like, okay, this kind of hit a dead end. And then I just seem to hang that up and move on to another thing that's creative. So I don't
Okay.
really crave the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
They're all over my house, but I barely pick them up and play them, which is kind of weird because that was my life for ages.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
you still fixing cars, doing mechanics?
Yep. Yeah, dude. I got a two pickups I'm working on right now. 51 Ford and like a 1950 Chevy pickup. I'm just finishing up bedwood on the Chevy. I've got a new blueprint motor I just threw in the Ford. Fired that up and just kind of getting the motor broken in and ready to get back on the road for the guy. And
Are you
I
doing
got
that
a
because you weren't
29
working?
got a 29 Model A I'm doing some stuff on, and yeah, I'm like all over the place, bunch of different jobs.
Nice.
Yeah, staying busy.
Cool, bro.
Yeah, it'd be nice to maybe like find my own space or something so I can actually start charging a proper amount of money for what I do.
Yeah, instead of working for someone else.
Yeah, it's all contract. Like there's like I can charge out pretty decent if I'm like using my welder and like sheet metal equipment
Mm-hmm.
because my rates go up, but still it's not like I'm making $130 an hour or anything like that. If I had my own shop, I could charge shop rates. So, but then you got overhead fees. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's so many places around this community where I live where the people have big shops in their yard, in their properties.
Yeah, that would be the dream, is to have a property with a space on the property that I could work out of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because in Vancouver, everything's getting torn down here. So you rent a place and then you have to move out of it 5 years later because they decide to build a skyscraper up.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, I tried to buy a house last fall. on the island. It was like a place I'd come across. It was a foreclosure, and I got outbid by like 10 grand. And I just haven't come across anything else I've been interested in since. So trying to get into something.
And you want to stay in Van?
No. This is I'll go to the island in a second.
Oh,
I'd
yeah?
rather not go to the interior, but it's pretty expensive on the island. This was Port. What's the town you drive through on the way to Ucluelet and Tofino?
Port Alberni.
Port Alberni. Yeah, it was in Port Alberni. So I was kind of like, well, I could be here for a couple of years while I like fix a place up and then flip it. So yeah, just trying to get into the market.
There's lots of places, like if you go like Merville, Campbell River. Yeah, more on the outskirts. Yeah. All right, bro.
Yeah.
I got to roll.
Yeah. Good chatting.
Good chatting, bro.
Yeah. Good to see your face, man. Take care of yourself. Try not to get hurt anymore, eh?
I'm trying.
Be safe out there.
Yeah, man.